Wow. Okay, I've got a lot. I can't tell. So, I can't tell that one either. I mean, I'm like actually cycling through them.
Kushner and him they were real tight. One time, me, him, Ashton Kutcher went to a Nets game, and we met Jay-Z there. You know what I'm saying? So they were close. They was cool.
Young lady, throw your hands in the air. Black guy, throw your hands in the air.
Kutcher looked in the window and saw what he thought was spilled wine on the floor. We believe now the evidence will show that was actually.
Looks like the feds just turned the heat way up again. And this time, the name buzzing through the headlines, Ashton Kutcher. Word on the street is that Ashton just got scooped up as a co-conspirator in Diddy's spiraling investigation, and people are freaking out, and now it all kind of makes sense.
Mr. Kutcher looked in the window and saw what he thought was spilled wine on the floor. We believe now the evidence will show that was actually blood.
Ashton's been ghosted from Hollywood for months. No red carpet pics, no awkward interviews, not even a grainy paparazzi drive-by. Fans are starting to whisper, he's already locked up. And it ain't just the timing that's shady. Ashton's past is coming back to bite hard. Diggers online pulled up some old receipts that most people forgot about. Back in high school, Ashton literally broke into his school, not just for fun, but to cheat and steal money. He was charged with third-degree burglary. Yes, that's a felony. Who knew that 70s Show guy had a whole record? But wait, that's not all.
Hollywood is mourning the loss of Brittany Murphy this morning. The 32-year-old actress died on Sunday from what officials say appear to be natural causes. An autopsy is planned reportedly against the wishes of her husband. CBS News correspondent John Blackstone has this report.
Fast forward to his Hollywood glow-up, and Ashton wasn't just acting. He was co-hosting some of Diddy's wildest, most secretive parties. Yeah, those infamous all-white parties. The same ones now being linked to some of the sickest allegations spilling out right now. And here's where it gets even crazier. Old rumors are creeping back up, and they're nasty. Allegedly, Ashton was romantically linked to Lindsay Lohan back when she was just 16. Folks are side-eyeing that hard, and suddenly, all the whispers about Ashton being just as shady as Diddy, they're starting to line up a little too well.
To me, I think what makes it work is, I know...
Is that you're so freaking hot?
No, it's being able to do scenes with him and being in it with him.
Then there's the eerie case of Ashley Wren, one of Ashton's exes who met a tragic end. The timeline of that night, his story always had people raising eyebrows. It never quite sat right. And now it's being dragged back into the spotlight. But hold up, because here comes the knockout. Mila Kunis has reportedly filed for divorce. Yep, sources say she's finally done shielding him. Word is this scandal was the last straw. So now we gotta ask, did the feds really lock Ashton up behind the scenes? Is he Diddy's low-key partner in crime? And what does Mila know that made her sprint for the exit?
I am the kind of person that actually learns more from their mistakes than from their successes. So all the great things we did in the past, we're gonna do again.
Most people still see Ashton as the goofy charmer from sitcoms and Shark Tank, but that image, total illusion. Long before the glam life, Ashton was already moving grimy. In senior year, he straight up broke into his own school, but not as a dumb prank, but to steal money and cheat. He got caught and was hit with third-degree burglary, which ain't no joke. That's a whole felony charge on his record. That little high school heist blew up Ashton's whole future. He lost his scholarships, his clean record, even his right to vote. All gone before he ever hit Hollywood. But here's what really gets under people's skin. Once he got rich and famous, boom, he paid to make it all disappear. That felony, wiped clean. His voting rights, magically restored. When you've got cash, the system hits different, and Ashton played it like a pro. After that, he tried the college route at the University of Iowa, but it didn't last long.
People were shocked to find out that Ashton and Mila, who kind of have branded themselves as activists for victims, would write letters on behalf of a person who had been convicted already.
Ashton's own words, he was out here wilding out, partying nonstop, living reckless. He got kicked out of his apartment for being too loud and out of control. So what did he do? Dropped out, packed his bags, and ran off to New York to chase the modeling dream. He even stood next to rising stars like Tom Welling from Smallville. But that glow up, it came with some serious darkness too.
Wow, okay, I've got a lot. I can't tell. So, can't tell that one either. I mean, I'm like actually cycling through them.
Let's talk about Ashley Wren, a 22-year-old fashion student and Ashton's girlfriend at the time. The night she was tragically found unresponsive, Ashton claimed he showed up late to her house, peeked through the window, and saw red stains on the carpet. But instead of knocking or calling for help, he dipped, saying he thought it was just spilled wine. By the next morning, Ashley was found inside the house and not breathing. People have been questioning that story for years. Like, seriously, who sees red stains, doesn't get a response, and just walks away?
He said, within any 3 blocks where we're standing, you can go buy somebody. And I was floored by the notion of that.
For years, fans have been giving Ashton major side-eye over the Ashley Wren case. But guess what? She wasn't the only one in his orbit with a tragic ending. Because right there too, Brittany Murphy. Yeah, Ashton and Brittany were close, and her sudden death at just 32 shocked the whole world. The official story, pneumonia and anemia. But then, months later, her husband Simon Monjack died from the exact same thing. Same house, same strange symptoms. It was way too identical to ignore.
So the Times.com is reporting that Ashton Kutcher has resigned from his position as the chairman of the board, effective immediately. He wrote a very lengthy letter.
It didn't take long before the internet started connecting the dots. 2 sudden deaths so close together with the same eerie cause. People started whispering about something darker. And now with Ashton's name getting dragged into Diddy's mess, Brittany's case is starting to look like a full-blown cover-up. Especially knowing Ashton and Diddy were right there together, co-hosting those exclusive all-white parties, you know the ones. Celebs, moguls, models, and rumors floating all night long. And it's not just Brittany either, because she's not the only woman who passed under strange circumstances while being around these two. Fans haven't forgotten about Kim Porter, Diddy's ex and the mother of 3 of his kids. She tragically passed in 2018, and the official cause? Pneumonia. Sound familiar? Because it should. Just like Brittany Murphy, just like Simon Monjack, all tied to Diddy, all gone too soon, all given the same vague, suspicious explanation.
Did I party tonight?
And now people are stepping back and seeing the bigger picture, because there's a whole pattern forming. And guess who's standing dead center in the middle of it? Ashton Kutcher. While he's out here playing Mr. Clean on red carpets, he's been quietly moving through the shadow, side by side with Diddy. And according to multiple insiders, Diddy didn't just party with Ashton, he trusted him. With business, with secrets, with everything. Why? Well, Ashton was tight with Danny Masterson. Yes, that Danny. The same one now locked up for horrific charges. And when that connection came out, it was like a thread got yanked. Because Diddy brought Ashton, Danny, and even Wilmer Valderrama into his private circle. He called them the new Hollywood Rat Pack. But baby, don't get it twisted. This wasn't just some elite boys club smoking cigars and talking stocks. These men weren't just partying. They were flying private, city hopping across the globe, hosting underground events, making major power moves, and allegedly pulling off things behind locked doors that the public was never supposed to find out about.
How are you doing? How's the New Year's going for you?
It's great. Please don't do this.
Sorry. Well, Happy New Year anyways. I'm sorry.
Happy New Year's Eve.
And here's the wildest twist. Sources say Ashton was the one who connected Diddy with Adam Newman, the infamous CEO of WeWork, who straight up scammed investors out of billions with his bizarre cult leader energy and crashed the whole company. So guess what? Diddy got a silent cut of that messy empire too. Quiet money, no paper trail, just vibes and shady deals. But here's where it goes from shady to straight up sinister. When you start combining money, power, and silence, you're not making friends. You're building fortresses. Fortresses where secrets are protected, questions don't get asked, and receipts mysteriously vanish. Want proof? Go ahead. Try searching New Hollywood Rat Pack along with any of those guys' names. Ashton, Danny, Wilmer, Diddy. You'll barely find a thing. The internet's been scrubbed clean, like someone hit delete across the board. Why? Because ever since Diddy got snatched up by the feds, Ashton and Mila been moving on stealth mode, suddenly acting like they don't even know him. Like Diddy was just some dude they bumped into once at a red carpet. Please. They pulled the same exact move when Danny Masterson got convicted. Years of tight friendship, birthday tributes, family vacations, gone. Deleted like none of it ever existed. It's giving full-on rebrand and heavy-duty damage control. But let's be real, this is way bigger than just unfollowing someone on Instagram, because Ashton and Mila, they've always had deep ties to Scientology. Their closest friends, Scientologists. Even some of their staff have allegedly been part of that inner network. And that ain't just some casual belief system. That's a machine built on power, control, and media manipulation.
Is in Lizzie McGuire. She also has an album out. She's going to be in a movie called Cheaper by the Dozen. And she's one of the girls that we're all waiting for to turn 18.
If you know anything about Scientology, then you know the playbook. Headlines get wiped, journalists get intimidated, and critics silenced. So if you've ever wondered how some of the wildest stories about Ashton and Diddy just vanish overnight, now you got your answer. And here's where things get really shady. When Ashton was once asked about Diddy's infamous parties, he gave a smirk and said, "There's a lot I can't tell you." Boom, the internet exploded. That one line opened the floodgates as in people started speculating hard. Allegedly, what Ashton can't talk about includes everything from freak-offs to exploitation to some of the same twisted behavior that Diddy is now on trial for. Let's not overlook Thorn, Ashton's nonprofit that claimed to fight online child exploitation. On paper, it sounded like something out of a superhero script. A-lister using his fame for good, but behind the curtain, things weren't so squeaky clean. There's stuff folks can't even access. Redacted files, questionable partnerships, and way too many coincidences with people now caught up in the Diddy investigation. It's gotten so deep, folks have been filing Freedom of Information Act requests just to find out what's really going on behind closed doors. And then, boom, Ashton suddenly resigns from Thorn's board with zero warning. No big press statement, no smooth transition, just gone. Word is the spotlight was about to flip right back on him, and he knew things were about to get ugly, real ugly. Now speaking of ugly, let's talk about Davy Chase. Yeah, the girl who creeped everyone out in the ring. But what most people don't realize is that she didn't just vanish from Hollywood, she spiraled. Whispers say it all started the night she got invited to one of those exclusive parties, hosted by none other than Diddy and Ashton Kutcher. She was young, way too young to be in that kind of scene. And ever since that night, her life's been a disaster. Run-ins with the law, substance-related charges, even jail time. By 2019, Davao Chase had already started making headlines, but not the Hollywood kind. She was booked for a misdemeanor just 5 months after being caught with substances.
I dated him when I was 16 and 17. No. I love him and I still love him and he's a very good friend, and that's why I was so shocked by it, because not only was it a fib, but it was so unlike him. It was so uncharacteristic. He was like my first real true boyfriend.
Right.
Yeah.
But he did not take your virginity.
He did not.
Fast forward to early 2024, right back in jail after another run-in with the law in Hollywood. This girl went from starring on red carpets to landing behind bars, all in under a decade. But here's the thing, people aren't calling it a fall from grace. They're calling it what it is, trauma. Allegedly, something happened at that party, something dark. The kind of damage you don't just recover from whatever went down that night. It changed her, and not for the better. But Dava isn't alone, because now the streets are saying Ashton Kutcher had a pattern. Allegedly, he was involved with Lindsay Lohan when she was just 16. And when things supposedly ended, she didn't just move on. She slid straight into the arms of Wilmer Valderrama. Starting to see it? It's like this whole tight-knit inner circle had one twisted preference. And Ashton wasn't some outsider watching from the sidelines. He was right in the middle of it. And let's be real, we already know Diddy's name is drowning in lawsuits stacked higher than a Jenga tower. But when you put all the pieces together, Ashton, Wilmer, Danny Masterson, it's not just coincidence. It's giving co-conspirators. Let's take a real moment to talk about Wilmer Valderrama, because his track record, straight up wild. Starting with Mandy Moore. She was just 15 when she met Wilmer, and he was already 20. At the time, both of them tried to play it off, saying nothing was going on. But years later, Mandy confirmed what many already suspected. The relationship did happen while she was still underage. And y'all, it gets worse.
Who I think is a real hot piece of ass. You dated Mandy Moore.
Yeah.
For two.
Mandy Moore!
What's that like? Jesus.
In one of the grossest interviews ever aired, Wilmer went on Howard Stern's show and bragged about being the first to sleep with Mandy. He laughed, joked, and turned it into some twisted locker room story. It was disgusting. But here's the punch in the gut. Mandy came out later and said it wasn't even true. She said the lie cut deep and that she felt completely disrespected. Imagine having your first relationship turned into a public joke by someone you once trusted. Then came Lindsay Lohan. She was everywhere in the early 2000s and the paparazzi darling, the it girl of the moment. Wilmer, 24, Lindsay, just 17, and yet again, they insisted they were just friends. But the moment the clock struck midnight on her 18th birthday, boom, they were officially a couple. Like really? That creepy birthday loophole trick? Fast forward to 2010 and Wilmer's back at it, this time getting close with a young Demi Lovato. And what did they say? The same old line. We're just friends. He's like a big brother, they claimed. But then, right on cue, Demi turns 18 and boom, suddenly they're a full-blown couple. At that point, Wilmer was 29. That's over a decade older than her. And once again, the same sketchy pattern played out. Later on, Demi came forward and admitted the relationship actually started before she was legal. It's not just a coincidence anymore. Now it's a blueprint. Mandy, Lindsay, Demi, each timeline just a little too close for comfort. And that midnight birthday switch up shows up every single time like clockwork. But in 2022, Demi did something powerful. She finally broke her silence the best way she knew how, through music. She dropped a haunting track called 29, and the lyrics cut deep. She didn't have to name names, and the world already knew. And when she was asked about it in interviews, she kept it blunt. I feel like the song says it all, and it really does.
I would. He probably took her virginity.
Did he? Yeah.
Lindsay Lohan.
Why are you insulting the man? He was how many years you were going out with Lindsay Lohan?
We were together for like a year and something.
But you don't mean her.
Now here's where it gets even creepier. As people online kept digging, scrolling through old comment threads and forums, one comment jumped out like a red flag on fire. Now buckle up, because this next part, it's straight up disturbing. An ex-employee came forward with claims that Wilmer Valderrama was part owner of a bar where the rules were shady from top to bottom. The exact words used to describe him? Absolute garbage human being. And what they said next is chilling. According to this former staffer, underage girls were constantly showing up, and employees were specifically told not to ID anyone sitting at Wilmer's tables. Let that sink in. They weren't just looking the other way. They were instructed not to check IDs. That means this wasn't some oops, we didn't know situation. This was a system built to protect predators. A setup. Management was allegedly complicit, allowing this whole operation to run smooth, silent, and unchecked. And get this, Megan Good was also allegedly an investor. Yes, the same Megan who now presents herself as spiritual, healing, and church girl energy. But according to this employee, she was horrendous too, which means she either knew what was going on and turned a blind eye, or worse, she may have profited from it. And if Wilmer owned the spot, and Ashton Kutcher was his ride-or-die business buddy since that 70s show, are we really supposed to believe Ashton was clueless? Come on, be so serious. The whispers are getting louder, because word is, that bar Wilmer owned, it allegedly turned into one of their hunting grounds.
First met Wilmer, he was 29. I met him on January 11th of 2010. And it was at a PSA shoot at his house for the 2010 census forms. And I have to have him. But I was only 17. And so he was like, get away from me. After I had turned 18, we began dating. I think it was love at first sight.
And here's the most twisted part. Ashton Kutcher, the same man who co-founded a tech company to fight child exploitation, was right there in the mix. Publicly, he's out here preaching about protecting the vulnerable. But behind the scenes, allegedly moving with a crew of men who blurred age lines, targeted the vulnerable, and thrived off access and silence. It's the double life for real. And when you pull back and look at the whole picture, this wasn't just some wild party squad. This was the new Hollywood Rat Pack, a title Diddy proudly gave them. A tight-knit group of high-profile men covering for each other, protecting secrets and dodging accountability at every turn. Right in the middle of it all, Ashton Kutcher. Now here's where it really starts unraveling, because if the word on the street is true, Mila Kunis has finally had enough. Sources say she's filed for divorce, and honestly, it tracks. Everything changed the second Ashton's name started getting dragged into Diddy's scandal. Now Ashton's out here flying solo, no Mila, no happy marriage facade, just him, a shady trail of unanswered questions, and a circle of Hollywood elites whose time might finally be running out. But now it's your turn to sound off. Do you really think Mila Kunis filed for divorce? Is Ashton just an innocent bystander? Or did he know exactly what was going down with that crew? The bar, the parties, the underage rumors? Come on, was this just Hollywood chaos or something way more sinister? And here's the real question, is Ashton actually under investigation, or is he just hiding behind that elite Hollywood shield while the machine scrambles to protect him? Drop your theories below, your hot takes, your receipts, whatever you've got. We're watching it all unravel in real time, and you already know, this rabbit hole goes deep. So if you're keeping up with the madness, don't just scroll, smash that like button, subscribe, share this video, and hit that bell so you never miss the next explosive drop. Because what's really going down in Hollywood? Oh, we're just getting started. See you in the next one.